Welcome to the Let's Talk with Paula show, where we talk about many exciting topics and we try to keep you informed about what's going on in Bowie and in the DMV. We also like to give you the veterans information, and we have singers on here, and we have people that write books on here. They can't cook in the studio, but they're cooking. They used to bring us goodies, but we just do a lot of different things, and we try to
miss those shows.
Yeah, you missed those shows because we did ask Tom. They used to bring us. We couldn't eat them in the studio, but we could take them afterwards, right? But they would show pictures of how they cooked and what they did, and I said I'd be glad when we're able to do that because I've seen Stephen Colbert. I don't have any stock in him, but he had that lady that got, I ain't gonna say that. Anyway, he had a lady on there Martha Stewart. That's it. And she showed her how to do desserts, but they just had one little table. They didn't move away from it. Everything was already pre-prepared. I thought, well, maybe one day we can do that, But anyway, let me introduce our guest because that's important. I just messed up with introductions 101. Please forgive me. All right, we're going to start with this young lady over here. I would like for you to explain to them who you are and what you do and why you call what you're called.
Okay. Well, good evening. Good evening, everyone. I am Wanda Rogers, and I am the Bowie City Council member at large. So I'm usually called council member, but sometimes I'm called councilwoman. Very rarely am I called councilman, councilman. But anyway, it's usually council member. And I was elected to office this past November. And so what it means to be council at large is that I am responsible for the entire city of Bowie.
Well, we're so happy.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. It is my honor and privilege to serve the people of Bowie. Bowie is a great place to live. We're the 5th largest municipality in the state of Maryland. We have a very high per capita income. We care about our citizens, and then we offer unique amenities that a lot of communities don't. And I have found that serving at large, I've kind of segmented it. It's 4 districts. Each district has a council representative, and then it's 2 at large. So I'll just start by kind of explaining that a little bit. We start with the mayor. The mayor is basically he's the lead of the council. And he facilitates all the decision making, but he is one of 7, but he is the mayor. And under the mayor, then we have, well, not under, but with the mayor, we have the 2 members at large. Dennis Brady is the other one. Dennis was around for years, and so I'm new to all of this. Then we have the 4 district council members. We have District 1, which is Michael Estev. District 2 is DeFore Wolfley. District 3 is Clinton Truesdale, and District 4 is Roxy Indamabo. I always hatchet her name, and my apologies. I can't get the cadence right. But anyway, that's how we're comprised. But we are a city that's run by a city manager. So the city manager makes the decisions around the police chief, whoever's, running these departments within the city. The city manager makes those determinations. But when it comes to budgeting, or even reviewing the performance of the city manager, it's the council that does that. So we're the ones that come in with the money and then make the policy that impacts the entire city.
And so the city manager's name is right now?
His name is Alfred Lott.
I just want to make sure. We called everybody else, and we just want to make sure that they're
that's right. Al Lott is the city manager.
Okay. And so I want to introduce my co-host. Oh, they know who you are, so that's why I wanted Council Member Rogers to tell us who she is, because they know who you are. But introduce yourself.
Well, good evening, and Paula, thank you for having me back on the show. My name is Donald Bell. I'm an attorney here in Maryland, and have an office here in Prince George's County. My office is in Greenbelt, and I am so happy to be back here, and so happy to have this such interesting guest with us this evening.
I am too. I met Council Member Rogers in a different scenario at one point, but I was glad to hear. I voted for you, by the way. Okay, I just want you to know.
I appreciate
I ain't had to tell you that because it's supposed to be my secret, right? But I just want you to know. And not that I had anything against anybody else, but you know, I thought that you were the best candidate at the time to run, and I'm looking for you to do bigger things, though. I'm gonna keep that under my hat. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So tonight we were talking earlier, and you were telling me how the police were having a problem trying to monitor all the thefts and things that are going on in the area, and we do come back and we try to keep, just so you know, we try to keep the public very much aware of what's going on. So, you know, Donald, Attorney Bell did tell you, we did say that. But what you just heard, I just like for you, it come from you, so they know that you on top of everything as well.
Certainly. So it's a lot of things that go on within Bowie. We are a vibrant community, and what we find is people come into our community and cause the havoc. It's usually never anybody from within Bowie. It's always someone from someplace else. And I think the terminology is called jugging, where individuals will go to an ATM, take out money, and before they get to the car or after they get in the car, they're followed and they're robbed. And so it was my understanding, and I have to verify this, that the FBI had engaged in this. But I read that through a article that was promoting an event tonight at 7 o'clock at the Bowie Performing Arts Center right next to Bowie High School on Annapolis Road, where our police chief, Preston, will be talking to the community about this,
how to keep yourself safe.
Right, and explaining to the community what he's doing to help prevent this. We're big, but we're not that big, and we don't have tons of money flowing into Bowie, and the police chief is doing the best that he can with the resources that are available to him. And I believe that at one point his budget ceiling was like 60 police, and at a council meeting couple months ago when we were going through our budget, I had asked him a question: if the world were perfect, how many police officers would you have for a municipality of almost 60,000 people? And he said he would have 100 police. And so that tells you that, we're 40% lower than what would be the most effective police force presence. But I don't think most of the citizens of Bowie don't see that. They don't understand that. They are concerned about what's happening to them or what they see happening in the community. And it's not like we don't see it and we don't feel it or understand it, because each one of us that serve on the council, we live in the city of Bowie. We pay taxes just like everyone else, and we are very concerned about our community and keeping it safe. And I will tell you, one of the strengths of Chief Preston is his ability to go out and engage in the community. He does not sit behind the desk. He doesn't sit in his patrol car. He actually goes out to homeowners associations, to civic associations, and talks to them about, Bowie. Community policing is the best way to be effective, because people know that you're accessible, and he's done an outstanding job with that.
So are most of these robberies occurring at night or during the day, or what?
During the day. Now the ATMs, where they were stealing the ATMs out of the stores, those were nighttime things, obviously.
Okay.
But these robberies that we're talking about, individuals taking money out of ATMs, are happening during the day.
And at one time in Bowie, it didn't matter. Okay, because that was a couple of years ago when they first started doing these ATM robberies. Okay, it didn't matter what time you went. You know, they weren't following people at the time.
Yeah,
they would just get you. You want you to get your money out the ATM right then and there. Somebody sitting on the side. They take pictures. So be very careful. Okay,
Yeah.
because they have somebody sitting in that car, and that's why they tell you. I noticed that Wells Fargo now tells you to put your hand over. It's a little thing. Read, guys, when you go to the ATM machines and see those little messages that they have for you. They tell you to put your hand over top of when you put in your pen. And that's because you got people that sit, you don't even see them. They're sitting in cars and they're taking pictures of what you're doing, right? And so if they rob you, now take your ATM card, they now have your pen.
Right.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
I also heard that the night where the police chief is supposed to be is that he's also going to use it as a recruiting base tonight as well.
Yeah. So tonight they actually had a dinner from 5 to 7, which I missed here in the city, to recruit new members into the police academy to join the force. So over at the City Hall, they hosted a dinner from 5 to 7 for new recruits. And they did ask council members to, you know, show up because they want the recruits to see that, you know, leadership in the city is very concerned about, you know, them and coming on board and supporting us. I mean, we appreciate everything, you know, our police force does because these folks are sacrificing their lives to protect us.
That's
because
right.
the world has changed now.
That's
you know, the
right.
world is just so different.
Right.
So we appreciate it, and they wanted us to come through to do that. I just had a previous commitment.
And I
couldn't make
appreciate
it,
and I appreciate it because it's, even though we say it and we give it to the community, it's always good to have a live person that sits on the city council that comes and says, this is what's happening in our community. We need police officers. We need fire people. And I've invited those out. So everything is going on at the same time. This is summertime, people out. I mean, I've invited everybody.
Yeah.
And so it was just really, we're honored that you did sacrifice that meal to come here so that you could speak to the people.
Certainly.
Because that's more important. It says a lot about you because it was important for them, there's the viewers that watch, to see that here, the council person, you know, didn't go to the dinner, you know, but she wanted to come tell you herself what is going on in your community right now.
Yeah, and that is absolutely true. I try to stay, you know, as engaged as possible. You know, I'm one of those community members. You'll see me over here at Bowie Town Center. Now, I will complain to the city because the light that we come up to on Northridge Drive across from the gymnasium, the timing is short. So we have to sit at the light longer. But since I'm on the council, I'm going to send an email to somebody and say, hey, look, you guys got to fix the light because we're sitting here forever trying to get out. So I am always
wonder
around.
who took care of that stuff.
Yeah. Usually if somebody's driving around that works for Public Works, you know, they might jot it down. But I'm going to go back and tell them, that light is short, can we do something? Because that's within the city of Bowie. A lot of times it's not within the city, it's the county or the state, and we don't have a lot of control of it. But I did want to mention one other thing that I've noticed because I'm new to politics. And I have been living in Bowie for 25 years, but those 25 years have been like, you know, within my community. I come over here to shop. I buy Bowie all the time. I'm the president of the Greater Bowie Chamber of Commerce as well. So buying Bowie is very important. And to be a member of the chamber, you have to have a business. So my husband has a small business over in Pointer Ridge in Bowie. But I have found that Bowie's 4 voting districts are distinctly different behaviors. You know, the District 1 is an old part of Bowie. District 2, when we talk about Levitt, you see, you know, going down the hallway here at City Hall, the history behind that. They're more engaged in what's going on in City Hall, and it doesn't have to be anything that impacts them directly, but they see it and they respond to it. District 3 has one pocket, like in Pointer Ridge, that's been around for a long time. That may be, you know, they see stuff and they engage in their civic association. There was a South Bowie civic group that was very active. They were called the Community Association of South Bowie, and they still are active, very much engaged. And we did pass funding in the budget so that we can look at that Pointer Ridge area to get them a little bit more revitalized. And then we have other parts of District 3 that are relatively new, maybe 25, 30 years, and that's like the town center area where I live. And then District 4, which goes out towards Central Avenue.
Okay.
So they're just very different communities. Every community has its own personality. Every community has their own leaders, and I've come to learn that and better understand it. Some parts of the communities are engaged when it directly impacts them. Others are engaged when it impacts Bowie or the state or the country. So it's just that's what I have observed over my last several months being in office.
And also, I just want to say, because I want to move past but what she said, so please forgive me. About Pointer Ridge,
yes.
I did see that Pointer Ridge is, they're letting the people that live in Bowie, so it's not a surprise, guys, that they put more speed cameras out, okay? And they started with Pointer Ridge. That's why I didn't want to get past Pointer Ridge. They said that they're going to start putting the cameras out there so they give you fair warning. And I noticed that where I live, they've had a test camera out there, and now it's a real camera that's out there off of Mitchellville Road.
Yeah, and they need that because people zoom
301. Because they don't want to go all the way. Right, they cut through the neighborhoods. And so I just want you to know, so you could be aware, so you can't say the council member did not say to you, they're going to be putting up cameras.
Oh yeah, and they rotate them. So that's the other thing. The city rotates them, but we put out adequate notice, and we being the police chief and his organization put out adequate notice so people know that they have a speed camera coming to their community. So yeah,
so I thought that I didn't want to get past that because Pointer Ridge is the first place, even though I think Mitchellville Road was the first place, okay? But they said that they were going to start at Pointer Ridge, and it was the police.
And they had always been about schools.
Yes.
Anywhere around the school.
Anywhere around the school, always. Yes, they always had those.
And right over here on 197, once you come out of Kent Hill, there's that's the one that makes the most money.
Yeah.
Not that we're in this for making money.
No,
the whole purpose is to change behavior.
Right.
Because we had one in my street, in my community, which is not a thoroughfare to any, anybody coming in there, let's say it this way, usually lives there or knows somebody or have a purpose, and they put a camera there. And the camera was there for about a month or two, maybe that long, and they took it out. But I will tell you, every time you get up to that spot, you're looking and you're slowing down to make sure that, okay, it has changed behavior. I mean, consciously changed behavior. So.
And I can attest to that because I've been coming up on that road for 21 years, almost 21 years now. And so I know when the camera was out there. But I put a warning in whenever I introduced, invited people on, I would tell them where the speed camera was. So please, be conscious there's a speed camera that's there. Not saying that somebody's going to speed, but I just wanted them to be forewarned. And
but so if you drive the speed limit,
yes, you don't have to worry about it. Right.
I'm sorry.
But and then they changed the one that goes over top of the bridge for 50. Now they have those little things that you have in the street to narrow the street, I guess, to make people slow down some more.
Yeah.
Because that's new.
Yes, that is. I don't know how effective that is. Because I saw some of those things kind of like knocked over.
Well, those are probably people that can't drive. I don't mean to say that, but I think that is effective from the standpoint of view that we don't see them all knocked down, okay?
Right.
And it is going to make you slow down because it's not that wide. It's narrow enough for whoever did the measurements, narrow enough for a truck to go through, but you still have to be cautious of going down that road for the speed camera. So I don't like them, but I think it's for safety purposes. I think that is a great thing because it does change behavior.
It does. And that's the whole purpose behind that. Everybody says, oh, they're trying to make more money. No, it's about changing behavior. The other thing I wanted to mention is, there's a lot of traffic going down 197. It gets backed up, this road out here in front of Benjamin Tasker Middle School, as well as 301, where they're putting in the new townhouses and everything. Well, these are not our these are not Bowie roads, these are state highways.
Oh, okay.
So
See, I'm glad you told us that.
yeah, so we had a open house. It wasn't us, but the State Highway Administration had a community forum last week so that people could come and see the planning. They're about 60% finished their planning on widening that street.
Oh, okay.
So there's mixed emotions behind that, because some folks are very concerned if you widen it, they're going to zoom all the way down 197 toward Bowie State. But others are like, well, it's so congested out there, you know, so it's just, you know, half a dozen, 6, you know, the bottom line to all this is keeping people safe.
Right.
301, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I don't even go down 301. I come down Mitchellville Road. I try not to go down 301 because it gets clogged. As soon as you get to Bowie, it gets clogged. It narrows. And so that's another thing that we're trying to, you know, make a priority with the state of Maryland, to widen those roads. And you'll get some widening with the new development over there, the Mill Branch development. They're going to widen it a little bit, but it's only the areas where they're, you know, building at.
Right.
So that's another big headache for the community.
Okay, so can I ask you a question? I'm sorry.
I just wanted to ask, since you're new to the council, you know, what is your top initiative that you're working on?
Great, that's a great question. Yeah. Thank you. So, my background, I spent almost 37 years in the federal government, and Department of Treasury. I retired as a senior executive. Most of my career, I'd say 90% of my career was in management, either supervising, managing, directing. I was a senior executive. I supervised senior executives. And one of the things that are absolutely critical in every step of my leadership was strategic planning.
Okay.
Having a vision and working toward that vision. Because once you do that, you have a vision, you have goals and objectives, you have measurements so that you can see whether or not you're achieving your goals and objectives. You have tactical plans. Those are operational plans to make sure that all feeds up. So right now, citizens of Bowie should be seeing something. It's been on social media that says, respond to this survey. We want the city to support us in creating a vision. We want the residents to help us create a vision. Because I believe, you know, what did it say? If people without a vision perish. I think the city of Bowie could be so much more effective, so much more resourceful if we had a vision that we were working toward. So that's what I'm working on. There are about 16 committees, subcommittees in Bowie comprised of residents that support us and volunteer their time. And what I found when I first came on council was some of the committees that I attended their meetings, talked to committee members, they kept saying, well, what does the council want? What do you want us to do? You know, and I said, well, where do you get your direction from? And they said, well, we sit here and we talk about it and then we just do it. In my mind, there should be a vision that everybody is working toward. A part of that vision should have goals and objectives. Those goals and objectives, they go down to a tactical level, right? And then you have measures, but that tactical level can go down to your committees. Your committees should be able to see what the vision is for the city and the city's main goals, and they should be able to sit down and do their own annual planning so that they know that they're moving in the same direction as the city's moving. Now, I know people don't see that as being a huge initiative, such as getting more daycare or, you know, other things, but I believe that in order for the city to be as effective as it possibly can, it must have a vision. It must be moving in a direction. And right now you have individuals in the community that are committed to a better Bowie, that are doing things on their own, that are speaking up. I'm saying let's pull all that together so that we're all driving in the same direction, so that we can when it comes to budget time and we're looking at our resources, we know that, okay, this is our strategy for 2028 or whatever, and these are the things that we need to do to accomplish that strategy. That way we're not going back and amending our budget, we're not having a lot of debate on how monies are spent. We know that whatever the initiative or the topic the council member is bringing up aligns with our vision and our goals for the city, and I think that's my major initiative and contribution. Now, I've done other stuff,
yes,
but to me, I think that just gives a bigger bang for the buck. Because when I talk to smaller municipalities, there's some things that they're doing that I believe that the largest municipality in Prince George's County should be doing.
Well, and I know we're running out, but
Yes.
what is your vision for Bowie?
Well, I think Bowie should be a great, my vision would be, and I haven't thought about it a lot,
Yeah.
But I've thought about it.
Yes.
But I haven't formulated, but I believe that Bowie should be the #1 place where anybody that comes to the state of Maryland wants to come here, live here, work here, play here, because we have everything to make your life a better one. I just, just off the top of my head.
I think that's a great vision.
Well, thank you.
I can see it.
I think vision should be big, hairy, and bodacious.
Yes.
I agree with you.
Yes. And then, then you figure out how to get there.
Yeah, you
That's
come
right.
up with a strategic plan.
That's right.
And
That's
then
right.
you have goals.
That's right.
To feed into
And
that plan.
you have timelines associated with those goals,
Yep.
and you have budgets,
Yep.
you have measures, so
Yep.
that you can go back and check and see whether or not you're meeting those
Yep.
goals.
Yep.
Oh man,
Yep.
I think if we could get just a line, and change takes time.
Yep.
I've been in a lot of organizations that I've kind of taken leadership responsibility, and change takes time.
It does.
She should have been part of the veterans crew because she sounds like a military person.
Sounds
Do
like
I?
it. Yeah.
I'm a rule follower until it doesn't fit my needs.
That's right.
You sound like somebody who's been in the military for 30 years.
Well, that's
when
the
you start
federal
talking-
training. I have to have parameters.
Yeah.
I have to have the lanes. It has to be very
Yes.
clear for me, and that's a struggle when it's not clear for
Yeah.
me.
And that's and with her background, I mean, she sounds like somebody else you know. I mean, your background makes you who you are.
Right.
And her background has, even though she wasn't in the military, and we got a few minutes, she wasn't. But her background tells us her progress through life, and trying to make things happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing. And
then
I
also
think that,
serving the community.
Yes,
I have been a
yes.
public service
Yes.
all my professional career.
Yes.
My undergrad is in
Yes.
education,
Yes.
so I came out and taught a little while.
yes.
And then I
got
went
the
into
round,
to
rap.
leadership, and that's where I've been ever since.
And we're so grateful that you came today to share
Thank
that with
you.
us, and we're gonna have you back again. Okay.
I'm chatty.
No, that's not chatty. You're informational. Okay, you're
Thank
a
you.
resource. Okay.
Thank you.
And so we welcome to have you back again, and
Thank you.
we're glad that you're with us tonight. And I know that it was an important event that you could have been here, but you chose to be here with us.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Just remind folks to fill out that strategic planning document, and also remind folks that there's a special election on August the 6th.
We're gonna have her
We
come
have to
home.
stay tuned in. Got to stay engaged, and alert on what's happening, not only locally, but
What's going on around you.
Yeah, all around
And you
you.
got some mail too to remind you. You better fill out those envelopes so that you can vote.
That's
okay.
right.
And we're gonna say good night. We're
Good
gonna
night.
wave right here and say good night.
Good night.
Good night.